in omnia paratus is what people will come up and talk to me about and love the Life and Death Brigade.
I've taken pictures of people and they'll have a box of cornstarch and stuff like that. But yeah, 5 years of work and I'm known for friggin' cornstarch.
Please, you start.
Okay, first day on set.
You were on the show before I was, so you get preferential treatment
All right,
every single time.
I'll take it this time around.
For every question.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Shoot. I do remember I had just graduated high school in San Antonio, and I was enrolled to start college at UT 3 months later or whatever, and I came out, did some auditions. I got Gilmore Girls. I got a 4-episode guest stint. I was the third Dean hired. They shot the pilot and then recast Dean, then recast those scenes again, and came me. I don't know what they were thinking, but I'll take it. And so my first day on set, I didn't know what a set was. I acted in high school and all that, but I had never really been on a set, and I wasn't used to marks and lights and everything going on and people miking you and people with I'm like, okay, I'll just try and act. And it was in Stars Hollow, and we had a few scenes that day. We had Dean leaning up against the post, and I was trying to like look sexy. At 17, I was like, I gotta be brooding a little bit. I had a leather jacket and stuff. And then we had the scene where Dean and Rory meet. She drops the books.
God, you're like Ruth Gordon, just standing there with the tannis root. Make a noise.
Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great movie.
That was all that first day because it was still kind of a practical location.
Wow.
For the high school inside that building in Stars Hollow. And I remember just like I was waiting around at the craft service table, just eating everything. And people were like, you all right? I'm like, yeah. Are they ready for me on set?
I'm Dean.
Hi.
There were a few early on memories I have, but that was my first day on set. Yeah, that was in July of 2000. I turned 18. Not that day, but in the pilot, I turned 18 on the set of Gilmore Girls. And I was so excited. No one on set knows. Not that it's, it's just a birthday. We all have them. But I remember kind of being on set and doing wardrobe fitting and then going home being like, I'm going to go to the gas station and show off that I can vote now, But no, it was fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I remember going to set the first time. I don't remember exactly my first day, but I got lost at Warner Brothers, and I was getting lost, and so I was walking around, and I walked into this group that was having a tour, and they were like, "Oh, okay, where you want to go?" I said, "I don't know. That's why I'm coming at you.
I knew I'd be there.
Lost. Yeah. I'm completely lost."
Okay, Finn, last building. Please say it looks familiar. Apparently it doesn't look familiar.
No, hold on.
And I said, what are you looking for? I'm like, well, I'm just going to start this show called Gilmore Girls.
Excuse me, can I help you?
No, thanks.
And they're like, what? Oh my gosh, what are you doing? And like, I can't really say. And some people came up to me and they're just hugging me and giving me kisses.
I love it.
And then one person said, is Chad Michael Murray coming back? and I was like, I don't know.
Nice to have you back.
And so I was just like, I think I'm going to be on the show a little bit kind of like that. And they're like, well, we want Chad Michael Murray to come back.
Amazing.
So I don't know if they were approving of me at the very beginning of my first time, my first day. They were wanting Chad Michael Murray, not me. So that was my introduction to Gilmore Girls.
Not putting my number, I'm putting your number.
That's my room.
Okay, put my number.
Just amazing after all this time that we're here and we're still talking about it with all the generations that have watched the show. And it's just beautiful to be a part of that history of knowing that, I think probably both of us are the same of just that we want to make people happy with what we do. And I think that that's what I love about Gilmore Girls is that we've been a part of something that makes other people, happy. And so that's special.
Well, I've been watching you.
Watching me?
I mean, not in a creepy, like, I'm watching you sort of way. I've noticed you.
Yeah, Alexis, I'm from San Antonio. She's from Houston. She's a Texan, and she had gone to college at NYU and then kind of got plucked out of NYU for Gilmore Girls. And I was 17, I think she was 18. We had this kind of like both small fish from Texas and a big pond. At the time, they were long days. They were a lot of dialogue, a lot of sets, a lot of like winter clothing, even in the summer. So a lot of like makeup touches and hair touches in between takes. And she was sweet and hardworking and smart. And, you know, I wouldn't say she was quiet, but she was always working.
It's amazing.
Good.
Thank you.
I was number 30 on the call sheet or something, but seeing her on set just going like, okay, I'd be done for the day, and they'd have 4 more pages to shoot, which would be, you know, 5 or 6 hours more. And so she was just always kind of like staying on top of it. And I remember seeing, and this again, before Gilmore Girls was big, but going like, oh, this is a legit job. Like, this is hard work. This isn't like all the glitz and glam of like, hey, this company wants to give you that, and here's a red carpet. I mean, there is that, but there's so much work that goes into it.
Hey,
What?
thank you for tonight. It was perfect.
You're welcome.
There was a scene where Dean and Rory fall asleep in Miss Patty's on a beanbag. And it was one of those long ass days, like 18, 20 hours, whatever. And so they want to set up, and usually they set up with second team. And for those who don't know, it's like your stand-ins, your photo doubles, this and that. We were so tired. We were like, hey, we're here. Like the shot literally was just going to be an overhead shot of them sleeping. And so we kind of like lay down on the beanbag, just like, okay, so they can set up the lights and make sure that there's no gear in the frame. And they're like, okay, we're good. And we're like, okay, we're ready to shoot. Like, no, we shot it. Like, y'all were sleeping. Like, oh, really? So the scene where Dean and Rory are sleeping on a beanbag in Miss Patty's, Jared and Alexis are sleeping. Like, when they said, okay, we're good, they were telling us we were wrapped. We're like, okay, yeah, okay, we'll pretend to sleep. Like, no, y'all were sleeping. We got it. Go. It was wild. There were a few nights like that. Hello?
You come bearing pizza?
I'm not an idiot.
Get in here.
My first memory of meeting Lauren was a scene in season 1 where we're doing like a movie night and eating pizza. She was really sweet and really welcoming, and I felt comfortable. And she became kind of like a mentor of sorts, watching her work and watching them work together. Yeah.
It's interesting to hear you talk about the beginnings of the show,
Yeah.
because I came on in season 5.
You don't like me. You don't know me, but you don't like me.
I know you.
You do.
We met yesterday.
So later, when there was the show was more popular and getting more success at that period of time. So I love hearing that beginning with Alexis, because for me, with Alexis, just hearing that was just how much she had to shoulder, you know, at that period of time. Those last 5, 6, and 7 seasons were the end of the show, and she was doing movies, she was doing Gilmore Girls, and had this kind of success. So what I always have admired about Alexis is just how she handled that fame, that stress, that pressure. You know, you were talking about how many pages she had to do in a day, and obviously everybody knows they love that fast dialogue, but that's a challenge to do. And she just shouldered all of that with such ease and presence and calm. And so that was my favorite thing about working with Alexis, and just seeing her go through that at a time where that show was, you know, near its heights.
Dean is meeting me at 8:30.
Where?
Here, out front.
Dean, is this the boyfriend?
Yes, he's the boyfriend.
Well, we gotta see this guy.
You made one scene together, Dean and Logan.
Yeah.
What was it like filming that? Did you interact?
Yeah, we certainly interacted. We were just recounting it a second ago. I remember that day. I remember shooting it. I remember that very well. I don't know. We chatted, you know. He's a nice guy. It's obvious. Was a nice guy even then. So I think it was welcoming. I'd like to say a changing of the guard, but I think Rory had already broken up with Dean. So, it was in good hands. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that day as well. And obviously with Jared and Milo and myself, we, you know, have that connection, of course, over the course of Gilmore Girls. And so I always think of us as a unit, you know, in that way. I mean, people obviously will say this boyfriend should be with Rory.
Which team are you
Yeah,
on?
which team, of course. And that's one of the things that people love about the show. And so I love that too, that debate and that questioning. But for me, you know, we haven't seen each other that much.
Yeah.
But I always, nor have I seen Milo that much. But just because of what that show is so important for us and for so many people, I just kind of see that as a unit, the three of us. And so whenever I think of Jared, I think of actually Milo as well, and think about that connection the three of us have because
doubt.
of the storylines that were a part of Gilmore Girls. So that's always been special for me when I'm thinking about you, is that we're, you know, kind of been in it all together. That's how I feel with that.
Yeah, I still
and
often
it
get-
started with that, you know, that scene. We weren't really weren't in the scene together, so to speak, but we were on set and we're talking, and then that's only increased, which is crazy, over the course of these years of that connection between the three of us that we have, which I think is so unique.
I agree. Which team are you? I'm Team Jess, funny enough. I am. Not a Milo, Matt, Jared thing, but just knowing the show and kind of having some idea of where Rory was in her life. They all were flawed, let's be clear. Well, I'll say Dean was flawed. They all had their issues, but today I'm Team Jess.
Yeah, it's kind of changed for me over the course of time. I think right now, if, because we had that part on Netflix that went back, and we had that whole aspect too, which was great.
Logan Huntsberger? I thought he was engaged to that French heiress.
He is.
If Logan does get married to his fiancée, that happens there, and let's say they get divorced or something like that, and he changes his life, then I could see Logan coming back and being with Rory, because he would be in a completely different place in his life. Because in the show, he wasn't willing basically to give up that life that he had with taking over the paper. But I think if he went on and lived sort of that life and had his wife, but then things change. And I think that in life, as we know, I might answer this question. It could be, Jared and Dean. It could be Milo and Jess. It could be them in 5 years. So it just really kind of depends on where we drop back in the story, I think. So I think for me, that's kind of how I see it. Is if he had this whole other life and did that, then he would really go back to Rory, because I do think for Logan, I don't know how Rory would feel. Maybe she would say no, but I do feel like for Logan, Rory always felt like she didn't need any of the money. She didn't need any of the attention. She didn't need that lifestyle, and that was incredibly attractive to Logan because she was down to earth, and that's what made her just so special. Right. And I think that Logan craved that, but just couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it because he was tied to his family. So if he could ever get away from that, I could see that Logan would be the right one. So I really answer the question by saying, where do we drop back into the story?
Yeah, because season 1 and 2, Dean was all right. He took a turn here or there. To your point, fair enough.
Do you have a favorite scene or episode that you look back and think about?
One that comes to mind is Wedding Bell Blues, and that was the 100th episode.
I think we need to talk.
I know, we will. Let me try to find it.
For me, that was my first season. I was just the new kid on the block.
You must be Logan.
Yeah.
I'm Lorelai.
Nice to meet you.
And I felt incredibly welcomed, by the whole cast and the crew. And I hadn't been there that long. And here we are doing 100 episodes. And so it just felt so welcoming to be a part of that experience, and for them to welcome me in and say, hey, no, you're a part of this. You're a part of making this happen. And I think that's why some people love the show so much, is there's a connection to it. You feel like a uniqueness, you feel like you belong. And as an actor there, I felt that energy and that spirit in that particular episode. So that's one of my favorites for me.
That's awesome. I have a few, I guess. There are two that stick out. One is, I think, the season 1 finale, Because I Love You, You Idiot.
Dean!
What?
Stop!
Why?
Because I love you, you idiot!
It was the last scene I shot that season, and I remember there was a feeling of accomplishment and community, to your point. Like, okay, it was not the last day of the season, but it was like the last week. Like, there were 2 more days of shooting, and there was this feeling of like, hey, we did it, Not that it was the most giant show on the network and we're getting thrown offers to do this and that, but we had done it. We had done a season that we were all proud of, whatever part we played, whether in front of the camera or behind the camera. Yeah. And then another one I remember, I think it might have been season 1 or 2. It was a big, giant, all the townspeople at a dinner table.
Everyone. First of all, I want to welcome you to the first annual and probably never ever to be held again, because Suki's on the verge of a nervous breakdown, Bracebridge dinner.
I think we shot it in November, December. It probably aired for the holidays. And there were 20 of us. And all of the 20 of us had dialogue at some point in time in the scene. And the scene shot over a couple of days. And it was before the Lord of the Rings movies came out, and I was reading the books. And I was reading them, and Ed Herrmann, rest in peace, an amazing man. He came up and he said, have you read them before? I was like, no, it's my first time. He's like, where are you right now? I was like, oh, they just went to the Mines of Moria. And he goes, boom, boom goes the blood. And he just rattled off, like, I think he had an eidetic memory, And so I was like, turned it back a page. I was like, that's exactly what happened. He's like, you'll enjoy it very well. I was like, oh my God. Like, this is a brilliant man. He was the voice of History Channel for a while. And I think he just remembered everything he ever read or spoke. Amazing guy.
And those are the moments you remember as an actor. Being on set and the connection with the cast, the connection with the crew, being at craft service, and all those things. That connection is just what's so beautiful about.
That's what I remember the most.
The behind the scenes aspects. I mean, that's an incredible story.
Yeah,
and it's just.
And he was Ed Herrmann. I was like little Jared Padalecki from San Antonio, who may have very well had to go back to UT the next year and started my freshman year, and he just treated me like a equal. And I was like, maybe I can do this,
Oh, that's beautiful.
All those little moments along the way.
Yeah.
Hi, we are very high.
I've been higher.
Yeah, I mean, another episode that I loved a lot was an episode called You Jump, I Jump, Jack.
You trust me?
You jump, I jump, Jack.
I'm scared of heights. So, the whole theme of that. But they did build like a stage that was a platform that was lower. But that was, I think, maybe my third episode on the show. And I just loved reading that episode. And I could see how that was kind of for me of who Logan was for Rory, of pushing her to be the best that she possibly could be. So when I read that episode, I was like, okay, I have to do well on this episode. Like the pressure is on.
Got to deliver.
This guy might not be hanging around that long if it doesn't come through in the way that it read on the page. So it was up to me to kind of bring that to life. So it was difficult to get through that episode just because I knew it was a lot of pressure.
You did good, Ace.
Once in a lifetime experience.
It became one of my favorite episodes, and I think just because it's from my perspective, a defining kind of aspect of the way that Logan and Rory's relationship when they were at their best in terms of pushing her to see the world in a new way. And that's what I loved about that character.
What about the hardest scene or episode?
Probably the fight scene between Dean and Jess.
Dean, no.
And I love Milo. He literally texted randomly like an hour ago. But Dean, he just hated Jess and everything about him, and Jess was so kind of aloof to it. And that's not how Milo has ever been to me or that I've known him. So I was still learning to do it. And Gilmore Girls wasn't a big stunt sequence kind of show, obviously. It was a lot of dialogue, a lot of movement around, shooting through Stars Hollow, seeing the gazebo, seeing the church, the school, this and that. You would move around a lot. But to get through heavy dialogue and stunt sequence, and I had never really done hardcore stunt sequences. I was an active guy, I grew up playing sports and all that. But to try and marry the written word with that physicality, and we shot at the WB Ranch, actually. And it was a pretty intense sequence, slamming against the fridge, running into the kitchen, coming out down the stairs and like rolling through. And we had stuntmen, obviously, stunt people. I remember it was really nerve-wracking, and I feel like it was one of those long days again, and I'm like, I'm tired, I'm sore, like, I hope this is all going well, where I was like, maybe they don't like this, and, all of a sudden, Jess is the man, and Dean's, out in Topeka or something. That was a difficult one to shoot.
Guys, just stop it.
I'm going.
Is there something that people come up to you when you're out in public and mention a scene or an episode or a line from the show?
Yeah, it's about cornstarch.
You just had a desperate need for some cornstarch?
Yes, I have very important thickening needs, thank you.
Because Rory steals cornstarch from the market, and then we kind of do a throwback, and you're in the life.
Cornstarch.
Pay for it this time. So usually, like, I've taken pictures of people, and they'll have a box of cornstarch and stuff like that, but yeah, 5 years of work, and I'm known for friggin' cornstarch.
Well, you're known for a lot of great things. I mean, you went from Gilmore Girls to 15 years on a show, so, take your pick on two amazing shows. That's pretty incredible. That's rare to do two incredible shows like that. So you may be known for cornstarch on the Gilmore Girls, but, you've got a long, amazing career that you've had. So, Yeah, for me, back to You Jump, I Jump, Jack.
You're scared.
Well, yeah.
And that stops the grades?
It's stopping this grade.
Come on, you look like you need a little adventure.
There's this section that I love, that is where Logan is trying to say, look, if you want to be a writer, you got to get out there.
Isn't this the point of being young? It's your choice, Ace.
Some people could live 1,000 years and have never lived in their entire lives.
People can live 100 years without really living for a minute. You climb up here with me, it's one less minute you haven't lived.
So he kind of had that influence on her that I love the way he pushed her. So a lot of people will say some of the life and death brigade things that Logan was a part of, with some in omnia paratus. In omnia paratus is what people will come up and talk to me about, and love the Life and Death Brigade and love that episode because of how Logan pushed Rory to be her best.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I gotta be honest, when I was on Gilmore Girls, again, I'm sure Lauren and Alexis had a much different experience during those first 5 seasons, but I don't recall so many people being into Gilmore Girls. It was pre-social media, effectively, and so there'd be people here and there who were like, "Hey, you're on that show? Like, oh, we love it. Like, cool. Like, what you still do it?" They kind of like watched it back in the day, where you were either home and you watched it, or you didn't. Unless you had a VHS and you recorded it. Certainly in the last 5 to 10 years, it's changed a lot. I feel like I can't really go anywhere without somebody wonderfully coming up and saying, like, I love the show. My mom and I watch, or whatever. I force my boyfriend to watch it, or my boyfriend forces me to watch it, or whatever. So it's been funny, especially since COVID. I feel like when everybody was watching and streaming shows, they're like, oh, here's a feel-good show. Like, the world is scared. This sucks. I don't know what's going to happen. There's this Gilmore Girls show. Let's stream this. And I think like a lot of people, to the credit, frankly, of their writing.
Hey, you're the writer. I can't critique these things. I just know that I read it and I was interested.
We sit here as actors on it, and we were given the greatest ingredients. It'd be hard to mess it up, And so that's really timeless. But I think it's gonna be a show that is everlasting. I went back and watched before A Year in the Life. I had been doing Supernatural for 10 years. And then I talked to Amy, and she's like, hey, if you get a day, because it shot during Supernatural season 11 or something, 10 years, give or take, of a different character. And so I was like, I want to go back. Like, I got to remember who I'm playing. Like, if I'm going to play this character, I want to do it justice. And so I went back and I watched like a dozen episodes. I was like, this is a really good show. Oh, yeah, this is a really good show. I don't think I'd seen it in 10 years, And so I went back, and the music, the setting, even the opening credits, you're like, oh, okay, this is a whole mood, and I'm here for it. But during my time on Gilmore, it wasn't nearly as big as it's become over the last 5 years, which has been fun to see. And the connections, to your point about entertaining people, giving them something to connect to others in a community and a tribe. I've really gotten to witness that firsthand just recently, really.
Yeah, I came on the show in season 5, as I mentioned, and so that was my first real consistent job. And I was getting recognized quite a bit in season 5 when it came on. And so that was a unique experience for me.
Now tell me that wasn't fun.
You can't ever predict that a show is going to be successful, period. And so looking backwards, obviously it's we never would have thought that it would continue after we've stopped filming for so long. I mean, it's one of those incredibly rare TV shows that people connect to generation after generation, and it's very, very rare for that to happen. You think about Amy and Dan, they found something that was really just lightning in a bottle that is incredibly, incredibly rare, and it started, of course, and will always be Amy Sherman Palladino and Dan Palladino for what they've done. So for all the generations and the uniqueness of what that show is just down to them.
Yeah, I have an 8-year-old daughter and a 13 and 11-year-old son. And my wife has shown her some episodes, and Odette loves it, except for when Dean and Rory kiss.
Really?
She doesn't comprehend. She's like, why is Dad kissing somebody else?
Oh, that's so
and
interesting.
Jen, who's an actress as well, is like, well, because he's playing a character, and that character and this character are in love, and they're kissing. She's like, So she kind of gets a little, like, digs her feet in, like, Dad should only kiss Mom. So I don't want to upset Odette.
I have a really hard time watching myself if it's my character that comes on, I'm turning away from it. But if it's everybody else, then yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Especially scenes with Lauren and Alexis, because those are just and there's just the relationship and the connections and all that. And there's so many great actors on that show. So if my character's not on there, then I'll continue to watch.
Well, then text me and I'll watch the scenes that you're in and be like,
Let me know how I did.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
all right, thank you.
You're off now. You can turn it back on.
I love that. That sounds good.
Go! Beat again. There's nothing standing in your way now, because I'm out.
Do you have advice that you would give your characters looking back at all the mistakes they made, relationship advice?
Where I sit now at 43 with a wife and 3 kids, I wouldn't really have advice of something to change. I think I read this great quote the other day that it's hard for people who care a lot to let other people make their own mistakes. But that's so important. I know Jared, myself, has done things that I rather would not have done. I've not done things that I rather would have done. But that's kind of what put me here today. And I'm happy, loving relationship and with a career and with friends and new friends and experiences. And so though I wouldn't tell my children or friends to make some of the decisions Dean made, I think it's really important that it kind of humanized a lot of characters. Like even these great characters, Rory did things that she wouldn't, I'm sure Alexis wouldn't have been, or vice versa, but I think one of the reasons it's so universal is that these are people, these are fleshed out people. And it's not just, hey, we're all perfect and speak really quickly and we are quippy and intelligent and erudite and we never make mistakes. It's like, no, we had a hiccup here. And now your tribe and the show, your community, your family, your friends are going to rally up and kind of like get you back on your feet and carry on. And that's life. And so I love, I hope it's not perverse. I appreciate that Dean made some decisions that I'm glad Jared never made. I think it's important for the viewing audience to kind of see people fall and get up and fall and get up and fall and get up. So to that extent, I guess I'd probably say, carry on. I love the storytelling aspect of it.
Yeah, for Logan, I mean, he actually inspired me in terms of just his passion for life, just to go after life and to live it to the fullest. And that's who that character was. And when you're playing these characters, they do infuse you, you're getting in their headspace, you're getting into their emotional headspace. And so for Logan, I'm incredibly grateful just for his passion for life, for pushing other people to try and reach their goals and inspirations and to shoot as far as you possibly can. And so I really appreciate Logan and what he did for me as a human being and pushing me in my life in that way. So I love that bit about that character for sure.
Oh, sorry.
Hey.
Well, of all the gin joints in all the world, it's so good to see you.
You too. Yeah, for me, going back to Stars Hollow at 33, where I started half my life ago when I was 17, roughly half, was bizarre. I was now married with kids. I was there. There was a lot of the same crew that I had worked with. Stars Hollow looked like Stars Hollow again. The market, it was surreal. And I only did 2 days there. I only had 2 days that I could film. And so Amy she's like, well, we have it for the entire 6 months that we're shooting or whatever, 4 months. So just let me know when you get some time off and we'll shuffle it in there. We're kind of shooting all over the place anyways.
To that point about the schedule, all those characters and actors were everywhere.
Yeah.
And how they got together was crazy.
Nuts.
I don't know how we got everybody together with that. I mean, it was just people were in Europe, people were working here. I was working on a show at the time. It was just like, it was all over the place, and how they fit those puzzle pieces together. I mean, the AD department and everybody on that was in.
And the actors and actresses, because they were shooting a 6-hour movie essentially, where it was like, hey, we're going to actually do this from Act 3 of the 4th episode before we do Act 2 of the 1st episode, and then tonight we're going to do the beginning of the 2nd. So that makes my head spin even thinking about it.
Yeah, sorry, just one.
No. Yeah, great point. Yeah, it was surreal. I was sitting there going like, okay, I have 2 kids of my own. I was a kid when I started here, and I was in and out. But it was great. It was great to get back, and it kind of like, I feel like in my heart I was like saying a thank you to what put me where I was at 33 or whatever. It was nice.
How was your day?
Well, I had my dry cleaning delivered.
Oh, I think I win.
I don't know. I really like these pants, so.
Yeah, when we were on set doing that, I felt like it's if you went to college and if you loved college and now you're coming back, you know, I think it was like 9 years later, maybe it was from the end of the show, something like that. And you come back to college and get to do it again. I mean, it was because we never thought that was going to happen. I mean, fans had been talking about it for so long, and then it just felt like the right time, and it was Netflix. And so that synergy just to come together in that way, it really felt, and to see everybody again, and people are in their different places in their lives and their careers, and you're back together again like that, it really felt like going back to college again. And in this experience that you thought you'd never have again, and here you are having that experience. And I had an absolute blast. I loved it. It was incredible.
I think it translated also, having watched them now, it felt like seeing a joyful reunion. You know, like seeing people share a screen again that you had seen share a screen a decade prior, give or take.
What are you doing in Stars Hollow?
I'm just visiting my parents for the weekend.
That's nice.
I was like, oh, like this is what I hope my life is like in 10 years.
Everybody was so happy to be there. Everybody was so happy to do it, happy it came together in the way that it did. Amy and Dan could write what they wanted to write for those last episodes. I mean, it was just such a rare thing, and everybody knew it. You know, it's so special when you have something that's just incredibly rare, and it's like, okay, let's just treasure this every single day. So it was a blast. I loved it. I loved it.
Mom,
Yeah.
I'm pregnant.
And do you want to set the record straight if Logan is the father of Rory's baby?
You have to ask Amy and Dan about that. That's what I get asked that question a lot, and that is what I say because, you know, again, where you drop in the story, maybe they're going to change it. So, you know, so I always leave that to Amy and Dan if they ever want to mention what that is.
Rory was a kid, Dean. She grew up. She moved on. Accept it.
You accept it.
Just the other day, I was at a convention in London, and an actor that I'm a fan of, his daughters were fans and asked me to like film a video saying hi and wish you were here. I was like, for sure. Like, I'm a big fan of your work, man. Like, thank you. Like, hope we get to work together someday. So I've met a lot of that lately, like actors or actresses that I respect saying like, hey, my daughter, my kids, or, you know, my sister or whatever, we all get together every Christmas and watch this, or every holiday season. So I've met a lot of people who, and maybe that's their way of just saying like, hey, not only do I like it, but thank you for providing entertainment for my family also, which is really special.
You have people who have tattoos that are Gilmore Girls tattoos. You have people who've named their sons Logan. You have people, Lorelai, daughters. So, I mean, it's infused in people's lives in such an incredible way, not just watching it. It's more like, how can I really carry on what this makes me feel like through my daughter or through my sister or through my mother. And that's just an incredible, another layer to it of just when you're talking about tattoos and names, and you just really see the magic that this show has had for generations of people. Yeah.
It's the first 3 chapters.
I think Dean is still at home. He lives in Chicago, I think now. Is that what he said in the finale? I know he's from Chicago. I think he's back home raising kids. I think he kind of learned how to be a boyfriend or a partner or whatever in his years at Stars Hollow. He made some mistakes, obviously, and I think he's doing the right thing at home with his family.
Where would Logan be now? That is such a dangerous question. That's such a dangerous question. I can't answer that. I can't answer it. I just, because of the fandom, I can't do it.